You wake up in the early morning, the sky still soft with the light of dawn. There's no rush, just the quiet sound of birds singing, the gentle hum of life in the distance. You're in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, a place where time seems to stand still. Here, the Amish live a life that's far removed from the noise of modern technology. Their days follow the rhythms of nature, slow, deliberate, peaceful. They work the land with care, harvest crops by hand, and cook meals that rely on methods passed down for generations. And when it comes to food, fermentation isn't just a technique, it's a connection to something deeper. A process rooted in tradition, where the pace of life is measured not by the clock, but by the slow, steady change of nature. No fancy machines or gadgets, just trust in the natural world around them. In Amish communities, fermentation isn't just a way to preserve food, it's a tradition passed down through generations, slow, deliberate, and full of care. There's something special about how they do it. It's not just about jars and spices, it's about family, it's about community. When the Amish ferment food, everyone has a part to play. It begins with harvesting the vegetables, often fresh from their own garden. And as they work, they don't just chop and season, they talk. They share stories. It's in these moments that the fermentation process becomes more than just a method of food preservation. It's a moment of connection, of love, of shared tradition. The family gathers around the crock, no fancy gadgets, no machines, just simple tools. The air is filled with the scents of dill, garlic, and fresh cabbage, and as they work, there's a rhythm, a sense of purpose that flows through each step. As the crock sits, the food begins to transform. Slowly, quietly, and as it ferments, so does the bond between those who prepared it. The slow, steady process becomes a reflection of the Amish way of life, one that values patience, simplicity, and shared experience. For the Amish, fermentation is not just about food, it's about tradition, it's about family, and it's about a way of life that honors simple, meaningful things. In Amish communities, the process of fermenting food is an act that blends patience, care, and a deep connection to both family and tradition. It begins long before the first cabbage is chopped or the salt is sprinkled. The preparation is a family affair, a communal activity that brings generations together in a shared space, bound by the simplicity and necessity of the task. It usually starts in the garden. Each family member, from the youngest to the oldest, plays a role in selecting the vegetables for fermentation. Cabbages are harvested early in the morning, dew still clinging to their leaves as the sun slowly begins to rise over the rolling hills. The older children help gather the cabbage, while the younger ones might run through the garden, picking fresh herbs like dill and garlic to add flavor to the fermentation. Every child knows which herbs are best for pickling and which are meant for kraut, passed down through whispers and shared experience. Once gathered, the family returns to the kitchen, where the fermentation begins. The kitchen, often humble but always warm, becomes a gathering place, with everyone taking part. The women in the family gather around the large wooden table, peeling the outer leaves of the cabbage, while the men sharpen their knives, preparing for the next step. This part of the process is methodical and calm, each member of the family moving in a rhythmic dance, silently attuned to the task at hand. As the cabbage is sliced thinly, the distinct smell of fresh, earthy vegetables fills the room. The eldest women are in charge of overseeing the process, teaching the younger generations how to properly salt and layer the cabbage into large earthenware crocks. The salt is massaged into the cabbage by hand, each handful placed carefully, creating a perfect balance between the vegetables and the salt. The air grows thick with the scent of cabbage and salt, a comforting fragrance that signals the beginning of the slow, transformative process. The communal aspect of this tradition shines through as each person plays a specific role. The younger children might assist by crushing the cabbage down into the crock with their small hands, making sure that every inch is tightly packed. It's a simple but important task, for it ensures the cabbage will ferment evenly. As the crock fills, the family members take turns pressing the cabbage down, making sure it's submerged in its own juices. Once the crock is full, it's covered and placed in a cool, dark corner of the house, usually the cellar or a cool pantry. The family checks it daily, keeping a close eye on the bubbling brine that slowly forms over the next few days. Sometimes family members sit nearby, chatting or singing hymns while the crock sits quietly fermenting. The process requires little more than patience, but it is a time for reflection, connection, and bonding. Every day, a few family members might gather to skim the surface of the crock, ensuring that the cabbage stays submerged. They know that while the fermentation process might seem simple, it requires constant care and attention. Sometimes the older women might recount stories of past harvests, of times when fermentation didn't go as planned and the lessons learned from those years. This passing of knowledge is as much a part of the fermentation as the vegetables themselves. The result is more than just food, it's a creation born of family, of shared work, and of the Amish commitment to simplicity and sustainability. Each batch of fermented food is a testament to the family's care, patience, and the deep bonds that hold them together, whether in the kitchen or beyond. The process of fermenting food in Amish communities is not just about preserving vegetables. It's an art deeply rooted in tradition and simplicity. Every detail matters. Unlike modern methods that rely on advanced machinery or specialized equipment, the Amish use tools that have been passed down through generations. Each tool carries its own story. The main tool in this process is the large, sturdy crock, often made of clay or ceramic. These crocks are more than just vessels. They are part of the Amish family's history. Some crocks have been handed down from one generation to the next. They're built to last, their earthy tones blending seamlessly with the rural landscape. Each one holds countless seasons of fermentation, each batch leaving its mark on the crock's surface. The size of the crock depends on the family's needs. But regardless of its size, it's a trusted companion. Another essential tool is the wooden tamper, a simple but crucial instrument. This tamper, often hand-carved, has a smooth, worn handle from years of use. It's not just about pressing down the cabbage. It's about ensuring every layer is submerged in its own brine. Pressing gently, slowly, making sure no air pockets form. It requires a steady hand and an understanding of the fermentation process that only comes from experience. Family members, from the youngest to the oldest, all have roles to play in this practice. The elders, typically the grandmothers, oversee the process. They guide the younger generations with patience and wisdom. They teach the younger women the exact amount of salt to use. Too much, and the cabbage becomes too salty. Too little, and the fermentation won't happen properly. They massage the salt into the cabbage, their hands practiced and sure. The salt, gritty and rough, contrasts against the smooth, cool cabbage leaves. It's a tactile process, one that requires both care and attention. The younger children, they have their own tasks, picking fresh herbs, preparing the jars that will eventually hold the vegetables. They might not fully understand the significance of every step at first, but they learn quickly. They pick up skills that will serve them throughout their lives. The involvement of every family member, no matter their age, brings a sense of community, a sense of cooperation. Once the cabbage is packed tightly into the crock and submerged in its own brine, the fermentation begins. Slowly, naturally, no need for electricity, no need for special ingredients, just patience and the right environment. The crocks are placed in cool, dark spaces, often the cellar, where the temperature is perfect for fermentation. The family checks the cabbage regularly, sometimes multiple times a day. They skim off any scum that forms on the surface and ensure the cabbage remains submerged in its brine. This practice, it's not just about the food, it's about simplicity, patience, respect for tradition. Every step in the process, from the tools used to the way the family works together, reflects the values of the Amish community. It's a deep connection to the land, to each other, and to the seasons. The result is more than just food. It's a creation born from care, purpose, and a sense of connection that extends beyond the food itself. In Amish food fermentation, the roles of each family member are carefully defined, and each person's involvement contributes to the overall success of the process. The mother is the one who oversees the preparation, from cleaning the vegetables to packing them into crocks. She handles the details, ensuring everything is done just right. But it's not just about the technical steps. There's a sense of love and care in each action, and unspoken respect for the tradition she's passing on. In Amish food fermentation, the roles of each family member are carefully defined, and each person's involvement contributes to the overall success of the process. The mother is the one who oversees the preparation, from cleaning the vegetables to packing them into crocks. She handles the details, ensuring everything is done just right. But it's not just about the technical steps. There's a sense of love and care in each action, and unspoken respect for the tradition she's passing on. The father, though less involved in the detailed work, plays a critical role. His strength and presence are felt in the physical aspects, bringing in the harvest from the garden, carrying heavy crocks to the cellar. His quiet support helps maintain the rhythm of the process. And then there are the children, Their laughter and energy bring life to the task. Even the youngest have something to contribute, whether it's fetching water or simply watching the older children work. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a part of a greater whole. While the immediate family plays the central role in food fermentation, the extended family and community are also integral to the tradition. The Amish community, known for its closeness, often gathers to support each other. Grandparents, for example, offer guidance, passing down techniques that have been learned through years of practice. Their experience provides not only practical knowledge but emotional reassurance, especially for the younger generations who are just beginning to learn the ways of the craft. Neighbors and extended family might also lend a hand, especially during harvest time. It's not uncommon for several families to work together, exchanging help for crops or tools. This shared labor strengthens bonds between families and reinforces the sense of community. It's through these connections that the tradition thrives, not as a solitary endeavor, but as a communal effort. The emotional and physical experience of fermenting food is shaped by these family roles. The mother, with her steady hands and nurturing spirit, creates an environment of care and patience. The father's strength ensures that the physical demands are met, allowing the family to focus on the task at hand. The children, with their eager participation, bring joy and a sense of continuity to the process. But it's the involvement of the entire community that truly enriches the experience. As each person takes on their role, the family feels connected, not just to each other, but to their ancestors, their neighbors, and the land itself. The result is more than just preserved vegetables. It's a practice steeped in tradition, woven together by love, respect, and unity. While Amish communities are deeply rooted in tradition, many have made thoughtful and careful adaptations to modern practices, ensuring they remain relevant in today's world. In the context of food fermentation, some Amish families have begun to use more durable and efficient materials, such as stainless steel containers for storing fermented vegetables. This shift allows them to maintain the quality and health benefits of their foods, all while addressing the needs of larger families or growing communities. These adaptations don't replace the traditional methods, but rather supplement them to keep pace with modern demands. For example, while they avoid electricity, some Amish families now use non-electric fermenting tools like hand-powered blenders or grinders to make the process more efficient. Though these modern tools may seem like a departure from traditional practices, they are used with careful consideration, ensuring that the essence of fermentation remains intact. The Amish community is known for its steadfast commitment to tradition, yet when it comes to safety, there's a thoughtful integration of modern practices. Fermenting food remains an art passed down through generations, but some Amish families have embraced changes that prioritize safety without compromising tradition. For instance, while fermentation traditionally takes place in wooden barrels or clay crocks, some Amish families have adopted the use of stainless steel containers for storing larger batches. This adaptation ensures food quality and minimizes the risk of contamination, all while staying true to the principle of self-sufficiency. Similarly, while many Amish communities avoid using electricity, some have chosen to use non-electric refrigeration options, such as gas-powered coolers, to safely store fermented foods for longer periods. These modern adjustments are carefully balanced to uphold the values of simplicity and sustainability, and to provide the necessary tools for maintaining health and safety within the family and community. These careful adaptations don't undermine the core values of Amish life. Instead, they reflect a commitment to preserving tradition while addressing practical needs. The Amish community values simplicity, sustainability, and a deep connection to nature, but they also understand that thoughtful choices can enhance these principles. By integrating modern tools where appropriate, they ensure that their practices remain effective and safe. What truly matters is the intention behind these decisions. The Amish are not seeking to abandon tradition, but rather to preserve the spirit of their way of life while adapting to the world around them. This balance allows them to continue to live in harmony with their values, making necessary changes without compromising the peace and simplicity they hold dear. As we look at the Amish tradition of fermenting foods without special equipment, we're reminded of something much deeper. Their way of life reflects a profound connection to the natural world, to family, and to heritage. This practice is not just about making food, it's about preserving a way of life, a life where simplicity, patience, and community are key. The Amish don't rush through their work. They don't rely on technology to make things easier. Instead, they put in the time, care, and effort, honoring the process. Each step taken in fermenting food is a reminder of the time-honored traditions they uphold. It's not just a practical activity, it's about creating a bond with nature and their ancestors. Their methods are slow, intentional, and full of respect for what has come before them. It's a beautiful example of living with intention. The Amish teach us that we can still honor our roots, embrace tradition, and live in harmony with the world around us.